lot of new stuff in here. Where's the video?
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's time. Yeah! Well, here is a big, oops. I drilled into this stud because I was just kind of haphazardly guessing where the studs were everywhere I went because there were screws up top. But to get this piece in, I actually went from the side here, and I forgot that as I came through doing the smaller holes. I noticed halfway through because I was like, dang, why isn't this done cutting yet? But I drilled right into that stud. So I've been thinking how I'm gonna fix this, and I think I'm just gonna dump a bunch of glue in there, replace the plug, and try to erase that. And I'm thinking that after sanding it flat and everything and painting it, it'll just kind of disappear. Well, that didn't work. It's still glued to each other just like before. So I'm just gonna let this cook overnight and go ahead and cut it off in the morning, but it delayed my whole project pretty significantly. All right, well, this is our final product here. I think it came out good enough. Next thing I gotta do is just clean up the bottom of these. If I can get to it, I'm gonna try to use the round over on as many of these I can get to, but some of them, the lip on the underside here keeps me from getting the router in place. So I'll probably just try to clean up the fraying there with a knife probably. And then it's about time to get some stuff painted up in here. Like that. I think I got a little bit more work on there, and this is for sure ready. And then yesterday was 80, today it's 40. I can't keep track of this winter, but I'm trying to get the garage warmed up a little bit with that little guy and our temporary door here. just got done putting in these supports back here, and in a minute I'm going to make sure that this is in the exact right spot, and then use all these pocket holes to secure it to the floor. Next thing I'm going to do is bring by the triangle piece here, just sit it in place and trace out on the back of it where all these supports are, because I still need to reinforce the back of it with some 2x2s. Then I'll go ahead and paint that up and throw a piano hinge on here and figure out how exactly to mount these gas struts. Depending on how difficult that is, I might go ahead and figure it out with it not being painted and then just pop it back out and paint it after. Who knows? Well, I was expecting this to be the easy part. Somehow, when I put this top piece together, it's got a bow in it, so it's bowing upwards a little bit, which is nice for structurally, but on the corners here, when you lift up on it, the bow tries to pull the piano hinge away from itself, pull it apart really. Puts a ton of stress down on the edges. The inside works just fine, but I gotta see if there's something I can do to fix that, because I don't think in the long run, I think those screws would pull out and damage the wood, and it would just be a big issue. But I'm gonna do the right thing and ignore that for now. Go ahead, get started on setting up the gas struts behind it. All right, so with it up here, you can actually see how bad the stress is on the end of these hinges here. These last two guys are really just trying to pull away with that bow in the wood. It's the same on the other side too. So then with the string, I just sat against the back of it and judged about where it felt comfortable, and then set the string. And now I can move back here to the actual construction of it. Against these two struts, I'm going to put a 2x4, just a plate that I can screw the back of the gas struts into, and then I'll put another plate right here. And then I'll just put, until that gap is filled with the struts fully extended, I'll just keep stacking 2x4s or whatever I need to actually make that the struts, when they're fully extended, fill this entire space at this angle. So then I can drop the string and test it out and see if it actually works for real. Yep. Oh, wow. Man, I thought I was gonna have to install some kind of like latches on the side to lock it in place. And maybe I will if we get more than one person leaning against it. But right now, these hold my weight if I lean back against it as they are. So that is just neat. I'm very pleased. A little bit to do before I could install these supports underneath what's going to be the bench lids. Started with these struts tying into the studs in the walls, and then they support the back of the bench here. I got one there, and then I've got a piece run horizontally between them so that I can screw the bottom of these brackets in at the right point. And then I just added a 1/2-inch plywood spacer to actually get that board at the right point, and I'll end up screwing all that stuff together before I put in all of these extra supports here. And then at that point, this will be done moving and wiggling around, because I mean, this backboard's got a little bit of warp in it. So I want to get this all screwed together first before I take the measurement, because it'll probably move maybe 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, who knows. Yeah, a lot of time has passed since I shot the intro for this and since I actually started making these benches. Pretty much done with the whole trailer at this point. I just haven't been keeping up on the videos. But at any rate, for the benches, I wanted to wait until this thing was all done so I'd have this piece, because I've been putting in these gate hooks, or that was the plan, to have a gate hook on each side to help support the gas struts. And then I ended up not even putting one here because one does it enough, and I want to be able to sit against this and kick my feet out that way. But I still have the other one. I'll put it in if I end up needing it in the future. But as it is, this thing works really nicely. And planning on 2-inch cushions, so this thing sticks up and out. It's a little eye hook. I think that's what it's called. It sticks up about 2 inches and will be above where the cushion will sit. And it's cool because it flexes as you put weight against it, which I think will keep some weight off of the connection so it doesn't wiggle itself loose over time. Only other major change I've had to make with this is replacing the screws that's holding this 2x4 to the rest of this with what are these called? What are these called? But yeah, I'm replacing the bolts with the screws, or screws with the bolts, because over time and me monkeying with it, pulling the screws in and out, it just caused this to fall out today. So bolts are bearing screws. Overall happy with the design, and there's nothing really to talk about with this one. It's pretty cut and dry.